let's see, where is hey guys, the stream is about to start. Actually, I still need to update a few things, plus 4 dB. There we go. Hey guys, oh, okay, this is very just a few seconds. Where's my... Oh, there we go. Just gonna... So basically, tonight I want to cover a bit the project I've been working on recently, because you know, I haven't really done many updates on it in a while. I've been talking about it on Twitter, but there was no, you know, I didn't really post any teaser, and I didn't want to disappoint, because unlike unlike Luna's determination, I was kind of skeptical about showing an animatic for the entire thing, because I felt that in that case I would, you know, I didn't want to go with spoilers, and you know, I felt like it would ruin the entire experience. So I guess I can talk a bit about the production. As you can see, you know, it's there's the mirror, so it's clear that it's related in a way to Equestria Girls, though, you know, we had the we already have some kind of prequel to Equestria Girls in the you know, in the comics, so it's a bit different. So, and if you want to get an idea of how complex the rig is, actually let me dig up the display capture. Okay, and can I? Seriously? So capture 7, okay. Okay, so for some reason, OBS doesn't want to show a second screen, so I'll just yeah. Hounding the armor that the main 6 passed around the North Carolina. I don't know. Honestly, it's very I don't have any authority on the season 1 premiere. I might really like Nightmare Moon, but you know, that's not very you know, that's not my character. So basically, I can cover a bit how this animation rig works. You might have seen it in the past. It's kind of weird because there's lots of pegs. I think I might have went a bit overboard with it. Honestly, it's very oh, and the animation is called the Fall of Sunset Shimmer. For example, there's the entire rig, which can be rotated, so if I want some kind of crazy movement, I can actually go with it. Although, you know, it's very... it has its limits. For example, the eyes, I cannot just go with... I cannot just go and do a rotation, because for some reason, the way the eyes are layered, they are double-sided for... So... You know, you just turn around and the eye would still show up, even though you're supposed to be, you know, even though you're not supposed to. And I was looking for solutions for that, and apparently there's nothing at all. It's probably, And the piece of software itself, it's called Toon Boom Harmony. Well, Toon Boom Harmony Premium, because I went with the most advanced version. It's a piece of software that they've been using for the movie, so it's pretty good compared to Flash in a lot of regards, but it's still messy as hell to handle. So, for example, the way that the deformers work. It's, you know, it's meant to act as a very powerful animation tool, but you know, with great power comes great responsibility. It's mostly just that lots of the features are very good if you're you know, big production with lots of budget, so you can go and plan ahead for lots of stuff. And you know, I'm just a YouTuber with a little budget, so I don't have lots of resources. So basically the shot itself, where is my... Wait, did I? Yep, I was supposed to start the animation later. Okay, so she's supposed in that scene to look at a mirror. Okay, she has eye contact. And if I remember back to so if I look, yeah, I didn't really expect to work on that shot tonight. I was supposed to work on another one, but I realized that I had lots of issues with that, and I don't want to go with the I don't want to disappoint you with something that just feels very well, long story short, the shot is very laggy. There's lots of input lag, so pretty much everything I've been working on is very because, well, the rig itself, for some reason, the I don't know if it's just that Toon Boom is not used to that level of complexity. Maybe it's just that I use too many basically they call it composite nodes, and basically it just takes a bunch of drawings, you can see the light blue, and it just groups them and just layers them, and as it layers them, it just goes with and for example this with that one, there we go. And basically the fact that I have all of those composite nodes just going together is making it messy. Definitely next project I'm working on is gonna get you know, it's gonna get a very I'm gonna have to go with something a bit more, I'm gonna go with calling Flash Cloud just more cleaned up. So, and there's a normal map generator, which I talked a bit about the when I did the introduction of that. I'll probably just cover up a bit because even though I worked on it and I kind of know what I'm doing, there's still lots of stuff that is still left unknown. For example, there's the there's one of the features that I've been talking about with the eye case like that, which are very interesting because I can basically grab multiple things at once to simplify my job, but it's not perfect. It's not like also okay, no. So I guess I can go with the, so as you know, as the shot goes, she's supposed to be putting her weight a bit forward with that hoof. Seriously? There. She's supposed to be putting her weight forward, so I'm gonna keep that part. Where's the key? There we go. So I'm supposed to be making a key right there. So as she just pushes, and as she pushes, her body is gonna go a bit forward. And yeah, that usually when I work on those projects, I go and I do a lot of sketches of the poses. Although with that project, I didn't really expect it to be. I still don't know the rig enough, so I basically just go as the rig goes instead of. Where's the key pose those things? Yep, I did. So she's supposed to lean a bit forward. Ah, stupid lag. So she's supposed to. Yeah, no. There. Okay, I have a little bit of problem with that. Okay, so never mind. I have some issue with that piece. Grabbing this. Could I just go connect a bit more that the line here? And nope. And there we go. So basically, one of the things that go with the project is it kind of feels a bit ambitious compared to because I go with some kind of rig that and lots of new software. So and yeah, the colors of Sunset, for some reason I did some kind of yeah, basically I did a rig that was more that had the colors from, well, basically if you look at EQG 1 and 2, the colors are much more saturated in Sunset. They feel like they pop a bit too much. And for some reason for Equestria Girls 3 they decided to switch to more normal colors. I don't know why, but they did. So, and for some reason, while I was working in it, I did a version, and that I guess I didn't take the right version for that one. So I go with that, and what the hell is that? Yeah, God, no. Where's the hell is the keyframe that makes that happen? Is that? Nope. It's either two keyframes that are fighting it against each other, or just my software that is okay, no. Yeah, the software is very unstable when it okay, so let's see, can it? Okay, no, it was just the software glitching. I don't know why, but the software is very glitchy and requires a restart once in a while. So she goes a bit forward, and as she goes a bit forward, her front hoof is supposed to let's see, she like that, and I go find the peg that holds the hoof. Because basically, if you want a character who leans a bit forward, you want the legs to feel like, you know, the weight of the body actually has, you know, weight. So, front leg, profile body. Yeah, this is messy. There's this part here that is the body when shown in profile or some other angle, and there's that part here that is supposed to be the rest of the body for front poses. Because the project originally was supposed to have, you know, go with mostly front facing angles, but not that one. There we go. So I'm gonna create a new peg, and you'll probably see a bit what I mean. I'm gonna connect that peg here, you know, that new peg. I'm gonna go with a skew, and as I go with a skew, I put the axis of rotation here. I'm gonna go a few frames afterwards, so it has some kind of delay. Because the idea of the shot, it basically has Sunset who arrives in the room, and she's kind of curious because she doesn't know really what is there. And as she sees the mirror, she just goes with and basically the intention of the shot is basically to have you know, she's curious, and it's basically before she becomes you know, the very arrogant Sunset. Is mostly just her as she's very curious, she's very passionate by her work, until she realizes that the world just doesn't want to be the world doesn't want to go the way she wants it to go. It you know, as it happens, she gets angry, she gets very arrogant, she gets into fights with the princess. So alright, so as it goes, and I want the, oh wait, that's not the right rig. Alright, where the hell are you? There. I'm gonna go with rotating the head a bit. To make, oh my god, to make a large scale project would be very, very difficult. First of all, you know, when you work as an animator on YouTube, you expect to do stuff that is 2 minutes to 5 minutes long. And you'd take, okay, you just get like 5, 6 animators to work together, and you know, that's should do the, you know, that should get something like an episode length project. But if you think, for example, back in the days, there was Double Rainbow, which I think took about 100 people. So it's not a linear scale. It's very different. There's some slowdowns because you have to communicate with people to try to get everybody on the same page, because you might have a director who goes to other people and he explains the idea that he has for the project, and he wants to make sure everybody knows what is the main line. And some collab projects are fine because, you know, they can allow themselves to be about more than just one vision. For example, if you think of Doors, it's basically about the idea that you have multiple people creating stuff together as they you know, as they have different ideas. So you have something that doesn't feel as coherent, but you know, they have that same going from the right to the left, that still stays within all of those projects. You basically feel like the one directing line, which is, you know, it's very simple. It's just a bunch of people just doing the same thing in their own idea. But if you have something that's story driven, you cannot just go with that simple line. You have lots of stuff like the characters need to move the same. There's some movies where they basically have just one animator always animating the same character. Kind of works, but if you have scenes where you have two characters interacting together, that's gonna be awkward. So, and you know, you're online, so you cannot just go with some other animator, just try to make them collab and hope that it just meshes well. Okay, so she's supposed to lean a bit forward. So she leans a bit forward. The door itself is going to be moving a bit because the angle that it has here is not accurate. I'll probably do the door after because it's less trouble just animate. Oh, and actually, I considered that, but and I was even offered a job at the studio that works for Disney, but I was actually offered something more interesting in my city for actual big blockbusters. So I was more interested in doing that, and you know, it's not doing actual character animation. And even then, I just realized that yeah, character animation is not my biggest strength. And yeah, that's kind of why I went with some of Toon Boom instead of trying to stay with Flash, because there's lots of stuff that Toon Boom does that if I had to do with Flash would take me just way too much time. So, for example, just the idea that I have multiple curve deformers instead of actually having to redraw every frame, because my drawing skills are not as good as I thought. Like multi-motor skills, and you know, you have to practice, but I realized, is it worth just going with practicing? So you have sunset, it just goes, and there should be something blocking the way, so she turns a bit her head. The layout itself is not final, so you have the some of darker a lot. Oh, that line here. Actually, yeah, that's see if I. Yeah, if you go with the render, the actual line shows up in the final render. It's the way I handled the way of the skull. It's really weird. Just happens. So kind of expecting that. So so basically, she says her line. And yeah, the line itself is going to be lip synced afterwards. Basically, I want the what do you mean by treed? Here she should go, and she should lean a bit forward. And as she leans a bit forward, her legs should follow, although seriously, once in a while I have to some of them are and some of them are not. Like for example, the neck pieces are actually connected, but if you want to connect more of the actual body, for example, the legs are not, because I realized that the idea of connecting the legs would probably be messy if I wanted them to actually move within their own. So she goes a bit forward. Where the hell's the... Yeah, I might not do a lot during the stream, at least I want just to reassure people that the project's still going. There's lots of slowdowns to the project because of Toon Boom itself. Like, there's lots of stuff that I didn't really expect to have to deal with. And another example, you have the tail itself that just goes like that. And, oh wait, where the hell is the keyframe for this one? Okay, so and a bit forward. Oh wait, start. No, I don't want the back of the body to feel like just and there. Okay, so the back of the legs is gonna go with deformation peg. Oh wait, no, I should go with the deformer itself instead. So deformation, show this, this, and this timeline x plus, I mean, and as the body goes a bit forward, so that way I still have the front, well, I say front, but the tip of the hoof to still stay. And wait, never mind. Please, thank you. There we go. And that back leg, which is connected to its own deformer. Man, that back leg, the back is much more simple. Since there's no cutie mark following it, I just went with the very classic deformer. So, and plus, gotta create a keyframe and just go with the follow through. So, there. Oh no, actually I use the same computer for work and for my regular stuff. I do have a laptop, though the laptop itself is very weak in comparison, like something like 2011 laptop. And even then, back in 2011, it was very back in 2011, it was considered a base model for a MacBook Pro, so I just realized, yeah, that's not worth it. Well, back in the days, it was fitting as an animation machine because I didn't really need that much, but I grew more ambitious, I grew more ambitious with what I wanted to do, so it just turned out to be more interesting. So basically the computer itself is, if I look at the desk manager, and you can see that the CPU is just running. It's oh, I actually gave the specs in the basic info. Basically, if you want a computer that can handle Toon Boom, they say something like a minimum of 8 gigabytes of RAM, an i7 for just to be able to handle the stuff. It's a lot, though. It's their recommendations depending on what they consider. For my rigs personally, if you need a really good computer, and it's mostly because I decided to go overboard with some of the stuff. For example, I'm not picturing it right now because I don't want to have a stream that crashes, but Celestia's rig has a crown that has been modeled in 3D, so you have to get the so you actually have to get the you know, the 3D render to be actually done. And also, did I even post it in the? And I didn't. And basically the reason why I went with the 3D crown was that it was easier to go with the 3D crown than having to redraw it for every angle. So okay, so it kind of feels a bit more. Yeah, nope, it still feels like the itself is node view, grabbing the, where is it? Basically that's the less that's basically a more boring part, because the idea basically oh yeah, can go with that. And there we go. And I'm gonna go with oh, and if you look at that part here, with the IK I was talking about. The IK itself, instead of being it's really weird. Instead of being a node in Toon Boom, it's basically just a tool that basically allows me to connect. And basically, you have this piece, which is the last part, which is connected to this piece, and that's really weird. But that's the way they handle it. I don't really know why they went with that, because if you look at, for example, at Maya, it's a bit different. Did I? Oh, I forgot to key that one. Let me grab the... Okay, connecting the peg. And... there we go. Actually, I don't even know if it's actually properly connected. And not responding. Okay, still feels it's not going a bit forward, because I want the body to feel like it's actually there we go. Wait, not the right leg, this one. And forward. Oh yeah, I'm gonna move it forward. Gonna go with this. View deformation, and there we go. Should stretch a bit. Gonna move it a bit at an angle just to feel like it's actually like she's really lowering her body. She's not at that point. She's not as I don't know. She doesn't convey as much of the feel like she's she thinks she's all powerful, so she kind of leans a bit more her body. She doesn't she has a bit more weight. She won't feel as stiff as she will later, where, you know, afterwards she's gonna be very hard to actually move. What the hell? Oh, there we go. And yeah, one of the weird... You didn't hear anything. One of the weird things with the way it's set is that if you go with the because you have the, it's really stupid, but they call it the should it show up? Yeah, they call it the animate button, and some people call it a myth that there's no such thing as an animate button in animation software. What it actually does is that if you move a piece, it's gonna actually create a keyframe for that piece automatically. So, and where did I? Seriously? Okay, so here's that keyframe, and okay, so... Oh, and one thing that is really annoying with Toon Boom is that I have to restart it all the time. So... and there we go. And the body itself... the body itself is gonna, no, the leg, yeah, the leg itself is gonna keep going for 2 more frames. That way you actually feel like the leg is, you know, it's one thing that is really annoying with when you animate, but you have to go with, you have to have some delay between the parts to make them feel like they're more part of some kind of body, because you have, So I'm gonna save. Kind of weird reloading by just reopening the same file all the time, but after a while you just get used to it. Because the RAM usage, it's not as bad as it should be, but the basically that thing can go up to 10 gigs just itself, and it's not like it has lots of complexity like a 3D video game. So it's kind of frustrating, to be honest. So she goes and she's gonna lean forward, and just to make sure that it feels like there's proper easing, because I don't want to feel too mechanical. So this. And one of the tools that I have is just the ease like that. So in theory, it should go. Oh wait, also the back of the body, what I'm gonna do is keep that part. Where's the... Yeah, 4 frames instead of... And there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. And where's the back of the book? So, in theory, she goes. So she goes as a door opens. In theory, I could go and try to make a model for it. Well, not the model, but just a placeholder. Or, although... So, she goes... Goes well. So I want her to go, and she's gonna have information. That big, and as she goes, but goes well. be some kind of curve downwards as she goes. What? Basically, I wanted to curve a bit like that. Feel well. Yeah, I don't have the webcam on, but really have the idea that the yeah, one of the problems I have with Toon Boom is that unlike unlike Maya, you don't have auto tangent and auto tangent is pretty interesting because it's basically gonna try to guess the actual curve of the movement. So that's yeah, definitely not. And seriously. Yeah, that's also a problem, is that the pivot for the rig is here, while the pivot should be around here. Although the problem is that I don't have any control over the rest of the neck if I go with that. So, and actually, is it because I don't have enough? Huzzah! I should have muted Facebook, actually. Give me a second. What the hell? Okay, yeah, basically, I just realized Pony Hoof, for some reason, you've probably used Pony Hoof in the past. Basically, as a software, is kind of messy. It doesn't direct the sound through the actual tab of the browser, but it just does it. So if I mute Chrome, well, if I mute the tab with Facebook, it doesn't do anything. At least as far as I know. Oh, by the way, if you have any question, actually, can you hear me at all? I don't know if I've been talking in some kind of void, because I tried to make sure that the microphone input would be turned on, but I don't hear you. You should look at your microphone. Oh wait. Yeah. But yeah, if you have any questions about Toon Boom that I can actually answer, because I don't know the software as much as I thought it would, you know, as I hoped I would. So it's a really weird piece of software. It doesn't, it's kind of a weird friend. Kind of, it's kind of a weird friend who's really, really trustworthy when you can actually trust it, but only when. Like, for example, there's that weird pup with the... Go with something linear. S'mores. I don't know. I don't even know if I like s'mores. I don't remember actually trying s'mores in my entire lifetime, so... And try. Actually, let's see. I could put a blink. One great thing about the way the rig actually works is that the blinks have already pre-made, so I can just copy them, paste them here, and as it goes, I just... Whoops. I did something wrong. Oh! I see what I've done wrong. I think this is the... Also, the stupid way the rig looks when shown at an angle. I think this is this one. I hope I did it right. Okay, so there's this part. This part. Yep, there's one eyelash missing. And where the hell did I... Oh, much farther. And so she goes a bit higher, and then it sets back. Whoa, 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 that's really stupid looking. Gonna go with that and that. If I go with something a bit higher, it goes. Oh, actually, the rig itself was built with, you know, I was built myself. Basically, I wanted, you know, I wanted the rig to be actually what I needed, and also the fact that nobody ever released public Toon Boom rigs for ponies. And the problem with that is that the knowledge of how to make pony rigs is very limited. The only people I could actually contact with that there was Dual Cartoonist and there was Terwai, who were the only two that I knew who actually had some prior experience with making rigs in Toon Boom. I could have contacted Pikapidi, but the problem is that he doesn't really do rig animation, he just goes with frame by frame, so... And that thing is really... also that... And oh, and as she does. Yep, in theory her leg should follow around that frame. The stream itself is probably going to be an hour 10 or something like that. I don't want to make it too long for nothing. Alright, so timeline, keyframe, and yeah, and I think it kind of helps to show her confused as well with that scene, because it's kind of like a room she's never been to, and she's not supposed to be in that room, although it's not, I don't want it to feel like she's breaking the rules. It's kind of part of the theme, but it's not really the part that I'm the most interested in. It's mostly just the idea that to show that Sunset is very curious, but also she's the kind of character to well, yeah, I want to show as well that she doesn't like following rules. It's not that she wants to be bad, it's just that she's very determinate with what she wants to do, so she so the idea that she has someone telling her no, you cannot do that, is kind of going against her. And yeah, and probably have the eyes that she goes. Also, yep, there's still some lag. Well, not some lag, some delay. No, that's what I want. The way I said the eyes also is supposed to be tracking on objects, unless I actually move the neck. Basically, the part with the neck was basically just some kind of limitation. I could change it. It actually is gonna track on stuff if you look at the and as she does that leg, the leg is still gonna turn a bit, just to give an idea that it has still has some movement, although the movement itself is not gonna be it's gonna be very subtle, just some kind of follow through. And yeah, as she does that, she's gonna bring back her hoof, so followed by something very do I even animate? Yeah, some people would consider it some people would not consider it animation because it's not frame by frame and all, you know, some purists. I kind of see, because I have to cheat a lot, but then again, animation itself is kind of a lie, so I mean, it's not that wrong. Oh, by the way, Prony Monster, you said something in a previous video, and you might have predicted my next project after that one. Kind of. I'm not saying too much right now because I kind of don't want to spoil the magic, although also if something actually happens meanwhile in the production that actually changes my current plans, you Yeah, basically, I've been trying to go and try to keep on going with ambitious projects because the Fall of Sunset Shimmer is kind of a bit. It's not as ambitious because it's mostly about two characters. There's there's some crowds, there's some supporting characters once in a while that pop in, but it's mostly about two characters and their conflicts. So, and basically I want to go with something a bit more ambitious in the future, because in a way I feel it's going to be more interesting. And where's my... Seriously. Oh, and the video... I think you'll know what I'm talking about. I don't want to ruin the magic for everybody else. At least. I don't know, I don't like giving spoilers from projects because I feel they're more interesting if you cover them, well, if you watch them as it goes instead of... Also, I feel like the hype could be kind of detrimental for the entire projects, because I feel if you have your expectations already set for what is going to happen, and it's not even about the quality itself, it's just the idea that the vision that you had in mind, if it's different, you know, you might feel like some... oh, and just make sure that, plus that, plus that, plus that. Right, and I'm gonna go with changing these. Yeah, I go with the automatic ease, at least for a basis, because it's less trouble, and to go with the actual function library. For example, if I click this part, I'm stuck with very annoying curves like this one. And for example, there's some parts I could actually try to clean up. For example, if I go with that. But apart from that, I kind of don't want to go and yeah, this way of thinking and working is very it's more reminiscing of 3D animation than 2D animation. And personally, I think, you know, that's okay. That's a different way of thinking. There's some people who might think that, you know, it might look weird for, you know, for 2D trying to emulate 3D or vice versa. Personally, I don't mind. I feel the art itself is more interesting than those details. Go. And this part here, node view, grab the peg, rotate the peg, just get the and I'm probably gonna go with as the direction of the scene, try and make her more embarrassed. You know, she's not as she's not the very angry and very manipulative Sunset at that point. She's mostly just very passionate. So problem I have, I was thinking of bringing, going with the hoof going in the back of her head or something like that. But the problem I have is just that it works well with a human, but if you go with some kind of you know, if you go with some kind of you know, pony creature, you're gonna go with something that looks a bit weird. So I have multiple ways I could go. For example, she could go and just take her hoof, just play with her hair. Although I don't remember her playing with her hair that much in the... could be wrong, but I think it is... oh, at least I could go with... at least go just a bit how she's supposed to open up her mouth. Is it this one? Okay, that's... Okay, she goes... seriously, Toon Boom? Seriously? Okay, so... Okay, so she goes with a more... I want to go say the sad expression, mostly just the mouth going down as some kind of more neutral expression. And as she goes for more neutral expression, she sees that the room is kind of poking her interest. She goes with some more happy pose. So at least that. Also, she goes well. I think she should go from that key from. I'm picturing it more as a well, so she makes the, because when you go with the W, one of the things that you don't really see in those charts is that think of more of some kind of O sound, so you go with the more of a no shape mouth. Oh, okay, so deleting this one. So okay, so did I really do that mistake? Oh, well. Okay, so less like that, less like that, and less like, okay. Also, some people also said that I was trying to aim for something a bit more movie accurate. Kind of. I don't think calling it movie accurate would be very honest, because there's lots of stuff that I couldn't really get as well with the realm of that the rig I was starting, because it's very. I'm still limited by the fact that it's mostly just me trying to create a rig, while my skills in making rigs are not the worst. But I'm mostly just trying to... I'm mostly just going with the best of my personal knowledge. Okay, L mount. And... Yeah, one of the things with L sounds is that you're gonna push your tongue, so people just associate the tongue with the L. So you go with well. Although it's kind of weird to go with the funny method since I don't really have any sound for her for that scene, but you well, and oh, as it goes, one thing I can do since it's my rig is that I can actually cheat the mouth, actually making go well. Oh, okay, I don't want the tongue to push too much. And yeah, I think next stream I'm gonna try to get okay, so oh, also I kind of want to cover a bit how the actual deformer works, since I need a more of a no mouth. It's very interesting the way it can actually handle the originally I wanted to go and I even actually made a version of the rig where the mouths were handled like with the TV show, where every mouth pose was an actual keyframe and it would just switch between them at will. It didn't work as well as I hoped. So, oh, also for people who are interested in Toon Boom Harmony, there's a student license. As far as I know, there's everything from the actual release. So, also. What the hell? Actually, can I? Yep, I think I should be able to cheat that one. There's some glitching with the mount, although the mount is seen from far, so actually at 100% view hide. So yeah, I think the tongue pushing here is way too much. I thought that would go, but I think it's gonna go and fit better with the also, there's not a lot of punch in the actual, so I'm probably gonna go with less keyframes. And go with yeah, they call it actually I don't even know how they call it, but the idea is that the mouth is kind of supposed to go hanging up. Like you probably talk to some people and your mouth still stays open for a few seconds after you're done talking. Like me right now, you can kind of test it, and there's and that was one of the things that I was told about when I was doing some 3D animation, to actually account for that or other stuff like breathing or just the way that people blink. And yeah, basically we one of our teachers was talking about his basically was talking about you know, was talking about animation and all, and how you could animate a character in a way that the character, if you looked at it, it would look like he was lying. And he made me laugh because he took a sample from on television, and it turned out it was his brother talking about something on TV, and he basically said at some point, yeah, he's lying because, and he pointed out the way that he was blinking, and it was as he was trying to answer something, basically saying, yeah, he's the way he's looking, he's trying to come up with something, you know, in his head as some kind of, you know, some kind of lie. So he kind of threw his own brother under the bus. Oh, also the lip sync. She's supposed to do the well as she moves her head. What the hell? Did I? Oh, stupid me. I'm not even looking at the right... Okay, so... where the hell is the... Where the hell's the mouth? Oh, there we go. And yes, I have a very loud keyboard. Okay, I can speed it up as it goes, because she goes, well. Yeah, I want her expression to feel like it's very, yeah, she's gonna hang with that. So I feel like there's no I want to speed it up. Nope, there's no, I think it ruins the curve as she goes. Oh, I think it's the blink itself that is going a bit too... As she blinks, I want the head to go a bit down. So... View deformation. And the program itself is called Toon Boom Harmony. Yeah, basically the software it's created by pretty sure the company itself is just called Harmony. They do Toon Boom Harmony. They do Toon Boom Storyboard Studio, I think. And that one feels way too. I want it to feel like she's bending her head. She goes. And I want some real arc. And go. Oh yeah, and I guess I can rotate it a bit. Seriously, Toon Boom. Yeah, it's really weird, but it won't move until one certain point, and afterwards it's gonna move on its own. It's really very finicky. It's like moving something. It's like it's basically like there was some kind of friction to the control. No. She's not supposed to go a bit. Yeah, way too forward. And oh yeah, also there's one problem I realized afterwards. So you see that part here? So it's a remnant of the way that the 3D rig works. Let's see. Pretty sure I can just get rid of the key itself. Peg. There we go. And it's supposed to be this one. So yeah, one thing that kind of annoys me is that I cannot delete exposures the same way as I could back with Flash. It's kind of stupid, but it happens. Yeah, it's a vastly different approach to from animating with Flash. And I was kind of scared at first because when you go and you animate in Flash, you well, I said that because one of the things I was told back when I was studying VFX, I was told that I couldn't just rely on the fact that I knew the software. I needed to be good at anything. So basically the argument was, what if the studio you're working on tells you that they don't have the software you're expecting and used to? You're gonna be screwed. They're gonna have... And you know, if you're able to be good at multiple software, and you don't even need to have experience in everything, you just need to know how to be good at everything. So for example, they just say, yeah, we're just gonna teach you for like a month with the software so you learn everything, and then afterwards you're gonna be amazing at that. It's more effective in a studio to have that guy who can be good at everything if he learns it, than the guy who tries to learn every single little detail about the software he's working on, and he struggles whenever he has to do anything else. For example, I was learning Toon Boom, and I realized it was kind of a mix between Maya and Nuke, and so that feature here called Record and Play is basically Play Blast. So basically it renders all the frames in its OpenGL OpenGL format, which still has aliasing, but you at least get the actual movement. So for example, if you want to get the if you want to get an idea in real time, because one of the problems is that even though the FPS is set at 24, it's not going to be able to render everything at 24. So although in this case, yeah, 24. It's probably worse with my Princess Celestia rig, because Celestia has the... I haven't tried Synfig. I've heard it was mostly closer to Flash, so I was kind of skeptical. Also, I don't know anybody who's, anybody who actually has any experience with that. So... So she goes well. Oh yeah, and the eyes, I want her to, before she goes, I want her to, just a few frames, she goes. And so in theory she goes. Oh yeah, and oh yeah, and also the ease. Usually for eyes you can just go and set the ease to just basic in and out. So you go with like that. Also, for some reason, it doesn't. So she goes. Oh wait, think about that. She doesn't. Doesn't really lean forward. Oh yeah, and a bit of a head rotation, although not too much because there's still a limitation of the rig itself. Yeah, still need to work on the next version of the rig for my next project. Basically, one of the problems is that the rig is just very heavy in everything. So if I get the so and as she goes back, also, what the hell is wrong with her eyes? Oh, okay, I see what I done wrong. I changed the head angle, but as I talked about earlier with the way that the rig has the eyes locking on, this means that this the meaning of life. Make stuff. Seriously. Basically our society has been around creating stuff, so it kind of makes sense that because you know how the world, as the world started with nothing and then became a bunch of just a bunch of matter that didn't really have anything on its own. It was basically just clouds of dust and just just floating around in space that eventually became something that created life. Kind of makes sense that life's meaning would be to create stuff, as it's basically the reason why we're alive, that basically something made yeah, it's kind of late night philosophy, so it's kind of stupid, but also for the head, I think I'm gonna go a bit more follow through for the actual angle instead of just yeah. Wait, no, that's the eyes. Where's the kinematic? Iris. I'm just gonna go grab the peg, and yeah, the weird peg I have here. So that way, instead of just following the kinematic output, you go with, so you basically go with she turns her head, and as she turns her head, wait, oh wait, this is something I just realized. The iris, eyes all, where the hell is the, okay, that's sunset, where are eyes, eyes, oh, okay, that's, okay, so, and then it follows, okay, so, that keyframe here, and here, also the eye goes there, and kind of a cheat, but whenever the eye actually closes, I want the eye to actually push. It's kind of a tweak that is not actually that realistic, but that way you get this keyframe, you push it here. And timing is still kind of off. Actually, I think I'm gonna extend the first part of the animation as she's leaning. That way, okay, that way, just grab. Okay, so everything that is here is gonna go slow down. When did I get started in animation? Back in the days I was just bored and I didn't really know what to do, and I just realized, because back in the days I didn't really game a lot. I had just a very basic computer. I was given well, I was given something that could finally be able to handle well, at least back then it was just Project 64. It kind of grew my interest because I couldn't really see the basically I couldn't just I didn't really have the graphic power to be able to see graphics that were too ambitious. So I kind of got to see the ways that video games would cut back then. So it kind of felt more like something I could try to achieve. So I got interested in doing some low poly stuff, or at least very simple stuff like sprite games. Well, sprite animations. Back then I didn't really know how to draw or even what to draw, so I was just drawn to whatever I had that was the video games I played. So I kind of grew interested, and I decided to try myself with animating stuff with Yoshis. I was kind of curious to see how it would look like, so I kind of made my own storyline with some Yoshis and all. And back then on Newgrounds there was some sprite animations that were released. Lots of them were mostly just action-packed because, you know, kids really liked action back then. And this will do is just that it's we kind of got more depth than just pointless action. And back then, most people were just trying to replicate the success of an existing series by basically taking the existing series and trying to just add stuff to it. So when I was there, I kind of got a bit guilty of trying to replicate that success before realizing what was actually my own personal strength. And I basically got more interested in doing animation because back then cartoons kind of sucked on TV, so I was just realizing, yeah, I have Flash, they have Flash too, so I could try to do something that's a little more ambitious. And nothing really happened with that until just a few years later when I realized, well, but when I discovered MLP, which was animating in Flash, so I just thought, well, let's try something like that, but a bit more ambitious. So I just kept going and tried to make some MLP Flash animations, which were they were not as good as I hoped, but I learned stuff and I tried new stuff. I tried After Effects, which could allow me to do some very, very crazy lighting. So I think that, actually, let's see how it looks from the intended angle. Okay, I like that. Can you see? This is I wonder if I could push a bit more the. I'm gonna go with this. Yeah, I don't expect any final result with this tonight. Mostly because it was not, well, it was mostly just a stream that I had in mind, just reassure people. Yeah, also I want to avoid doing something I've seen a lot with fan animations where everything feels like it's over animated, and basically you feel like every part has to move at all time, and it's kind of feel like everything is on sugar, and it's kind of annoying, honestly. Just it doesn't let it time to actually breathe and all. So it gets frustrating, to be honest. And at one point I was talking with someone about that, and someone else got very angry because I was just, suggesting a way to actually improve. But that's a story for another day. Also, the hair is gonna be done later. Basically just that tip here, and that tip here that should just go and do some kind of follow through. I want to focus on that later, because if I start going with that hair right now, it's gonna be a mess. So oh, also I feel like the oh yeah, that's right, that part here, not really deformation. So wait, no, still feels. Yeah, so the belly's go. So loose. Wait, so she leans forward. Oh wait, so there's this leg, which should shift a bit back and forth. If I get the bag, where the hell is the bag? There's the bag. And go a bit forward, just a bit forward, and then so seriously, where the hell is he? Oh, there we go. That's the troublesome keyframe. And at the same time, I want the body to be to bring the strength, but then again, the leg should still. Yeah, I don't want it to feel like. And farther. because basically I want the animation to fit the scale. Same time, I'm supposed to be at around that angle, so to learn about Toon Boom, the actual Toon Boom YouTube channel actually suggests stuff about how to be able to animate in Toon Boom, although it's mostly just to figure out the program itself. Apart from that, lots of Toon Boom is mostly just figuring things out. You basically have to learn by going with yeah, it's kind of mostly just messing up with the software. Like when I was doing the rig itself, one of the things that I had to figure out was how to use the pegs. So you had head rotation, for example, which was a peg which handled everything. Figuring out kinematic outputs. So basically the idea is that the neck has a deformer, and the deformer on the neck actually handles the way that you get the you know, it actually handles the head, but I don't want to deform the head, I just want to move it. So you use a kinematic output to actually move it. There's that. There's I had to learn how to use a peg with a near zero scale to be able to fake into Toon Boom that the scale of the rig would be flat, since the head itself is has a 3D rotation. Although now that I actually know a bit better about how it works, there's some stuff that I can actually do a lot better. So still, yeah, I don't want to be comical in terms of how it should bend. Oh wait, is that? Not respond. Okay, so should it go? So, and what I think about brony reactors, checking my videos. Well, one of the things with brony reactors is that obviously it kind of feels like they're kind of piggybacking on something that they haven't done, so it kind of feels like they're going on something that has been proven, but they didn't really work on. So it kind of feels like they're yeah, they kind of feel like they're basically taking on something that has took months to work. So I feel if brony reactors want to stay, you know, they have to still stay and you know, have their own social, you know, they still have to support the creators, because without the creators, they need to be able to, you know, they need help to be able to keep their content going. So obviously supporting creators, I'm thinking not just shouting out the creators as, you know, within the actual video that they're reacting, but, you know, other ways. For example, just support, can be just emotional support. Some creators are actually on Patreon, so I feel like those creators, if you're supporting, like giving a few bucks, kind of feels like you're giving back. Other than that, obviously criticism, but real criticism, not just saying you suck, you should do this because I've seen someone do that and it worked. Usually it doesn't really work like that. Apart from that, I don't know. We need some kind of motion trail for that software, like the way that it actually curves. I'm kind of stuck with some linear stuff. Wait, do I have... Yeah, it's not very stretchy, but... remastering the pilot of the show in Toon Boom style could be interesting. But I feel like if they're remastering the pilot of the show, I think they could also cover up other flaws that the pilot of the show has. No, exactly. Well, because the story itself, I don't want to rewrite the story, but I feel like there's some stuff that they could add on. Yeah, because the pilot of the show is really cheesy. The first act is basically just Twilight, you know, meeting with her friends. It's very slice of life. But the very interesting part where she actually gets to make herself some friends is basically just devoted to half of it. So while it kind of says that it's supposed to be half slice of life and half adventure, the adventure part is kind of more interesting, and they just give it only half of it. So it kind of feels like it's two different. Well, I say it's two different episodes. It is, but it doesn't feel like it's very. Some clips, yeah, I'd love to see Nightmare Moon in the movie style. Just because, well, I'm thinking of how they went with some frame by frame, you know, frame by frame effects from Michel Gagné. Basically, how he did some of the glows on the horns and some sparkles and some, and we'll see. He mostly worked on some. And the effects, for example, the actually I don't even remember the entire thing, but he mostly did some effects that, and I'm thinking that could be interesting if he did Nightmare Moon's Smoky Mane, because the show did go with some frame by frame stuff, but you know, they were limited with what they could pull in Flash with the budget. It could be interesting. Do I have a girlfriend? Nope. I'm still single. So, it's not the end of the world, kind of. So I think you should lean a bit more forward. And the thing is that it's not even the walk cycle yet in the shot. She's supposed to be kind of awkward because she sees a mirror, and then she's supposed to run and basically run to the mirror to go touch the to go touch the mirror. So it's kind of I'm kind of just working in half of the shot right now. And she's supposed to talk during that shot. Though the dialogue itself, I'm gonna try to time the dialogue to the animation. instead of going the other way around, because I feel in this case it should work better. I don't want it to feel like some kind of weird dubbed movie, a bit like kind of like the vibe of what you can find in a Neil Breen movie. And if you don't know about Neil Breen, I'm kind of sorry for you, because it's kind of interesting. Non-brony YouTubers I watch. Personally, I've been following lots of tech enthusiasts who basically talk about. Well, mostly I've been mostly interested in old technology like LGR or Nostalgia Nerd, or even the 8-bit guy. I don't know. It's mostly just because back in the days I was mostly interested in computers and tech stuff. Apart from that, there's a lot. I'm pretty sure I'm following like 200 people on YouTube. And some people say, yeah, that's interesting, but there's even more that I follow. And then again, I don't want it to feel like a competition. I'm just trying not to follow too many, because I feel like, you know, I'm not going to be able to follow all of them, and I kind of don't want to go with people who just stream video games, because I feel like streaming video games is boring. It's not very and for the animation maker, it's basically called Toon Boom Mini. It's a software. Actually, it's the software that you use for the movie. So also she goes and her head doesn't. Where is her? Okay, so. Wait, where the? So. She goes and. She leans forwards, and then, oh, okay, so, yeah, that's kind of awkward when you go and you change stuff in the middle. Oh, and still feels very stuttery. What I'm gonna do, I'm probably gonna go and delete some keyframes. And yep, still it actually feels worse than earlier. You don't have this. Okay, this is. And this keyframe here. Okay, it's kind of springy. Kind of acts like you'd feel like with a spring. Stretches. And like that. Nope, it's not supposed to stretch like that. Stretch back like that, and also oh wait, is it the ease itself that is should I? And ironic? Yeah, I think my type of humor is kind of ironic. I like absurd stuff, but not that much. And I've been exposed to a bit too much TV where the humor was just trying to be absurd, and points was just too much. Oh wait, could it be that this? Wait. So this keyframe. There we go. Oh god, I forgot. If I click on that button, the deformers disable. And if you want to see, if you want to have nightmares, look at the screen right now. Yep, that's that ridiculous. Ouch. Also, I guess I can fix that little mistake right now while I'm at it. Oh, okay, that's a layering issue, I think. Basically, the tail is not supposed to act this way, so tail to okay, cutter, composite. So, no. There we go. Yeah, it's the tail itself is basically set like that. I have a few bones. I wanted to use a curve deformer, but I think that going with bones is a bit better. And yeah. With lip sync, the thing is that it's kind of annoying because you have to listen to the same piece of audio a lot and a lot and a lot and a lot. It's not the end of the world, you just get used to it. And with lip sync, there's kind of a ground truth that you're trying to aim for, because when you talk, you know, your mouth moves to something specific. With the background, the problem that you have is that the basically the background could be anything, and you just think what could be the best way. It's basically like creating stuff from scratch. So yeah, I think designing backgrounds is much more annoying. For example, in Luna's determination, I kind of had to struggle because I had multiple ideas how to do the stuff, and I just realized, is it gonna be you know, is it gonna be detrimental to the actual, you know, the actual story that I'm trying to tell? Like, is the background gonna get in the way of my characters, or is it gonna make some weird shapes that the eyes are not gonna be able to follow well? Because, you know, you have to be clever now you design the stuff. You have a background that just has too much stuff, too many colors. You're gonna be there just looking at the background while you well, the characters, which are supposed to be the main thing to look at, yeah, you kind of don't look at them. And I'm not saying that, you know, you cannot tell a story thanks to the background. You cannot use the the backgrounds to make the story more interesting. For example, if you have the main characters and you use a background to show the main characters kind of live a very sad life, you can do that, but yeah, you don't have the for the voices, I do have some voice actresses for the main characters. Usually you just have to have some good contacts and some good friends who you know in in voice acting. So for the body, I feel like there's no. Yep, I feel there's no spring. Seriously? Oh, there we go. And it still doesn't have the same punch I wanted to give. She goes well, and her head doesn't feel. Maybe if I cut some of those frames. Nope. Probably a bit too quick. And yeah, I think it's gonna be that for tonight. I've been streaming for like 2 hours, and I don't want to say that the result is bad at all, but it's not. It's definitely not the same. Yeah, it's definitely not gonna be like that in the final. When I make the animatic, it really depends. For Luna's determination, it really need to record audio. Since the audio was already done in the first place with the Fall of Sunset Shimmer, I have the temp track for the audio, but I expected some kind of I'd be able to stretch a bit depending on how the voice acting would go. I didn't really have anything in mind for the voice acting. I was just getting my trust. So it really depends on the kind of projects. For writing tips, when you go with a script, first of all, script formatting is very, very important. Well, I say script formatting is very important. It's very important if you want to give a script to someone to try to read and all. There's some projects I've done where there was no, there was an outline for the script, and the actual script was told through the animatic. You need something that you'll be able to rewrite if something goes. For example, if you realize that you have to change things. You need to go with a script that, if you go with an animator's perspective, for example, if you script write with proper formatting, the number of pages should have be some kind of approximate of how long the animation is going to be. So 1 page a minute. The Fall of Sunset Shimmer, I think 7 or 8 pages long with the dialogue. You also have to expect that lots of it's going to be told through the animation itself. Because basically the the way the characters move. So if you write the script with lots of actions, for example, you have characters turning, or they do something in particular. For example, they throw something at a wall. They because lots of scripts, for example, for live action, you kind of and well, I say live action, but for television, you kind of have to tell the story through how they talk and through their dialogue. So you're gonna have some characters, giving lots of exposition. But with animation, you're gonna tell it a lot through how the characters move and how they're framed. So giving direction to the action, but you also have to be understanding that if you're writing for yourself, you have to be understanding what you can do and what you can't. You have your own limits. Because basically one of the problems I had when I started was that my animations were way too ambitious and I didn't really have much time to even work on the actual animation myself, so the animation kind of ended up being a mess. And the story itself was a mess because I was editing it myself and I was doing lots of stuff. Just too much stuff for a single person. So when I went with scripts that were shorter, that were a bit more grounded, it turned out to be a lot less trouble. So if you go and you animate stuff, go with something simple, short. You have to plan your shots ahead. So if you write the scripts for those shots, you have to, you have to be clever. If you want to tell a story that tells itself entirely within that span, without having a sequel or being just a scene part of something bigger. Yeah, you're gonna have to have to be clever in how you do the events. For example, in Luna's Determination, you had a Star's World being introduced, and basically I had to introduce the idea that the unicorns would raise the sun and the moon. So I had that part that was supposed to introduce early, because even though most people know now that the unicorns raised the sun and the moon before Celestia and Luna, there was no, there was nothing back then to actually explain it. So I had to cram all of that within those 5 minutes. Also, all the stuff that you can cut without actually ruining the animation. So it's a lot of stuff. And, it's stuff that you learn with experience. So, any other question before I end the stream? Because because if there's no other questions, I think no, maybe I'm not really that much of an expert in audio. I kind of try to go with the effects that I know already. So back in the days, I had some effects just to have the echo of the characters talking in a room. And that part is stuff that you can do with Premiere Pro. I don't do the animation itself when I have the audio with the audio effects in, because it's kind of distracting. Also, if I do the audio effects at that moment, I don't have I don't have as much control in the final result, because maybe the audio effects could go against the music. So having that at the last minute is more interesting. Well, I say the last minute, at the last step is more interesting. Yeah. So if you don't have any more questions, I think it should be it for tonight. I might be able to stream more next weekends, and nope, I don't speak Spanish. I hope you've enjoyed the stream. I'll probably see you later. So thank you so much. I have, I think, in the description. Do I? Okay, I don't have it in my description, but if you want to support the project, there's my Patreon, in which I post some updates for the shots I've been working on. Otherwise, there's my Twitter, where I talk a bit about the project, and once in a while I rant about random stuff. So that's about it for tonight. I thank you so much, and probably see you next week, unless something goes on. So see ya!